So what's your take on Zoran, right? He seems to have said a lot of cringe around 2020 and record totals were retarded, but some of his more recent comments trying to appeal to neo-libs like us seems good. He supports single-stair housing reform, easier to build housing on smaller lots, expansion buildings. I mean, like, my take on this is basically going to be the same as any further left candidate. Like, MAGA has a huge problem with authoritarian rule right now. I don't think, we haven't seen that with any left-leaning people. So the idea of him trying to rule like a dictator, I don't think can happen. So if there's like a crazy far left policy, I would say the same thing about him as I did about Kamala Harris. I just don't think it'll come to pass. Like I was never, ever, for a microsecond, I was never, ever worried about Kamala or Biden doing like a wealth tax because it would be a disaster. And I know it's never going to happen. Like I know that as soon as they would even float the idea, every advisor there would be like, hey, this is actually, we're be like, oh shit, okay, we'll just stop talking about that. So I doubt that like this guy is going to destroy New York with far leftist policies, you know? As far as like boosted rent control and shit, like in my opinion, all of those types of, or like the government grocery stores, in my opinion, those policies are dog shit. I think they're horrible and I think they only make things worse. But there's two things that can happen, okay? So there's three things that can happen. One is he just doesn't get the support in the government to do it. Two is that he does it and then he, it's a fucking miserable failure. And then you're like, okay, well, look, at least we know this shit doesn't work. Or three, he does it and it actually ends up being somewhat successful. And then that's just more data, right? I used to think that UBI was kind of like a dog shit concept, but I feel like most of the data that's come out about UBI and places that have tried, I think most of the data is actually pretty positive. Like it doesn't fully disincentivize people from ever working and they don't ever get jobs and they just sit at home all day and smoke weed. That apparently wasn't the outcome, I think, in any of the places where they tested UBI. So, personally, I think most of the policy stuff is further to the left of me, but I mean, it's just more data or information to collect to see what happens. Worst case scenario, government wastes a little bit of money for a while. You try something, you see it doesn't work, and then you move on to the next thing. Rent control is obviously, what's your argument against the public stores thing? Just the government getting involved in setting like strict price controls is always very scary because you can kill a lot of your businesses very quickly or kill entire sectors of the economy very quickly like that. So you have to be careful. But again, it's just New York, so.
And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
At what point does authoritarians cross the line of which lethal resistance is justified? In the United States, never. Anything they ever said about the Second Amendment being to fight against tyranny was a fucking lie. The actual reality is it's going to probably be like if somebody's starving. Like you have to get to the point where basic needs aren't being met, which is actually a take I've had for a long time. So
will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, and to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
How much power does the New York mayor actually have compared to the city council? My understanding is the New York mayor is one of the most prestigious positions in the United States. I don't know if it would be unfair for me to say, I feel like the New York mayor position is more prestigious than the New York governor position and is more prestigious than most Congress positions, like even being a senator. New York mayor is a really big, that's a really big office in the United States. The New York mayor, especially post 9/11, that's a huge office in the U.S. But maybe it'll recede post 9/11. We don't care about it as much or something. But it's a huge city. It's a very, very, very international city. Everybody in the world that comes to the United States wants to see New York City, the Big Apple. There's a lot of diplomatic stuff that happens there and everything. So it's just it's a big city, huge economy. There's a lot of history. Anyone that self-identifies as socialist, even democratic socialist, concerns me. I should. It's pretty cringe. But, hey, listen, he won his election. I think it's foregone at this point, right? The Dems need to learn how to campaign, I think, better. What was I need to stop saying this. What was Zoran's position on the Luigi killing? I don't know. And don't make me look it up because he's probably going to think it was based, even though that's like an obviously super crazy cringe thing. You think progressives will be less incentive to vote for Dems now that they've seen one of their candidates win? Yes, remember, the far left progressives and the socialist communists, no matter what, are not part of the party, okay? If Cuomo would have won, all of them would be baby raging right now and would be saying like, oh no, like I'm not going to vote or I'm going to protest vote or this, none of it matters. Since their candidate won, they're going to vote in the generals for him. You just have to phase them out. Just don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. New York City would be the 12th largest economy in the world if it were a country. That's crazy. I heard that your mom would be the 140th largest country in the world if she were a country. Because of how fat she is. Do you think the words socialist and capitalist have different meanings between Gen Z and Gen X? kind of, but it's gotten really cringe because Gen X and above, socialist and communist, were like the Soviets. It was like whatever that meant. And then like Gen X to millennial-ish, like in that time era, communist and socialist just became people who want to do things with the government. Like Obama was called a communist and socialist all the fucking time. And then I guess maybe as a result of that or other factors, Gen Z started to be like, oh, socialism is actually cool, you know, because we want socialized healthcare. But then now a lot of the young people, at least online, want to be actually socialist. Not just the government does stuff, but like we abolish capital. So who knows? We need proportional representation and to destroy the two-party system. This constant infighting for how the party should act or is defined really feels ineffective. No, people just need to keep their eye on the prize. People need to keep their eye on the prize. And you just have to, everybody needs to be on the same page for that. My guess is going to be, I haven't dug a lot into the policies of either because I'm not in New York. My guess is going to be, I would have preferred Cuomo, probably, or some like establishment Dem, because those are just the type of people I like over the Zoran guy. But if I lived in New York City, I'm showing up all day to vote for Zoran. I'm never considering ever any MAGA alternative. It's not even remotely close to that. You should be able to brutal as fuck infight when it comes to primaries, because that's what primaries are for. But then once the primary's over, then you say, okay, fighting's over, off to the general. We kind of used to do that, right? I think Hillary campaigned for Obama. That was a very brutal primary. That was Hillary's election. It was literally, for all the coronation memes, that was it. And then Obama was a fucking nobody, a literal WH Omega lol. He came out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, Hillary lost that primary, and it was insane. Same thing with Trump. Everybody hated Trump in the Republican primary. He was making fun of people's wives and calling people retarded. Not retarded, but basically. And then, and they all came out, and then they endorsed and phone bank, right? There's the videos of of Cruz phone banking for Trump afterwards as well. Adams and Cuomo may both run as independents in the general. I don't know how the New York elections turn out, but if it is the case, I don't actually even know how I feel about that. I was gonna say, if it is the case that New Yorkers vote like 90% Dem and then they want to run as an independent, that's fine. Maybe. If there's any risk that a Republican could win though, then you say absolutely not. Why the fuck would you even risk that? But also, I don't even know if they should, even if that. I mean, like, you had your primary. Zoran, he won. Like, I mean, this is your primary. This is what the primary's for. Zoran won the primary, and now you back the candidate, is what you should be doing, right? I'm not Jewish, but ever since October 7th happened and seeing anti-Jew behavior online and stuff like the Washington shooting, I feel like Jews have a legit reason to be afraid. Do you think Zoran would enable more extremists on the far left? I want to support him, but I'm a little hesitant. I don't know if he would enable them. I doubt he's going to do much to curb them, though. I think if you're a Jew, I think anti-Semitism should be a pretty spooky thing right now for you. The George Floyd thing had the entire country, protesting and rioting for months, and like we're having like Jewish people assassinated now in the United States by clearly anti-Semitic and now pro-Palestinian driven people, and actually nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares at all. So it's kind of a spooky world to be in, I think. And you have a lot of anti-Semitism now on the left, and the right has a good foundation for anti-Semitism. In the far right, although the main party doesn't do the anti-Semitic stuff as much yet, but Destiny, they have ranked choice voting. Oh yeah, someone on the subreddit got mad because I mentioned that I knew friends in Canada who did who talked about strategic voting for ranked choice voting, and they were like, Canada doesn't have ranked choice voting. I think Canada, they must have for something, because I had Canadian friends talking about it. I think Canada had ranked choice voting just for after Trudeau stepped down or something. I think they had it for like one thing. LOL, Destiny trying so hard to stay middle on this one. How long could you have ever watched my stream where you would think I would try to stay in the middle on literally anything? I don't know why you would ever think that. Yes. Sometimes I wake up and I think, how can I make the broadest...
There's a lot of things that make New York City special.
The broadest amount of people happy. Also, not sure if you saw, but the Bronx really did not support Zoran. Do you think Adams has a shot to beat him in the election, or is he cooked? I don't know. Not sure, actually. I don't know what the racial breakdown is of New York for who supports who or whatever. But I'm pretty sure Zoran was carried primarily by like wealthy white college and wealthy white suburb voters. But I mean, not suburb. I shouldn't say suburb. But that's what I saw posted online, unless that was a meme. But that's also not surprising. Remember, like the socialist views and all that. As much as people try to say like Malcolm X was a socialist and black people actually love socialism, it's a very white college kid flavored thing. Not to say whether it's good or bad. Even that sounds bad. But Zoran did better with men and Cuomo with women for some reason. I don't know if we went over this stream or not. I don't want to speak out on the Cuomo stuff because I haven't researched it too much. But from what I read of the Cuomo stuff, the quote unquote 12, 15 sexual harassment things or whatever, it kind of seemed a little memey. Maybe there was really bad stuff in there that I just didn't see. but it seemed kind of